Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. I have a guest coming up later in the program. We're doing guests on the weekend now because Heidi doesn't like the second scoop. So we have Joel Achenbach. We're going to be talking about Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. It's a cover story from National Geographic, and we're going to be chatting with him about this guy. He's actually got this plan to go to Mars, I think. I guess we're going to get all the details on it coming up here later in the program. But also, this is kind of funny. The mouth of a jellyfish is also the anus of a jellyfish.
Oh.
Yeah. So, note to self, never kiss a jellyfish. It's not good. I've had people tell me my breath smelled like crap before, but, you know, that's bringing it to like a whole new level there. And pregnant ladies, there's a superstition just for you. According to superstition in Iceland, a pregnant woman should never drink from a cracked coffee cup because if she does, her baby will be born with a stutter.
Oh.
So there you go. I don't know how true that is. Probably not at all, but that's what they say in Iceland. Coming up here in a bit, we've got some special things happening this weekend. We'll tell you all about that on the way. Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. Let's do the whole darn weekend. Saturday, November the 5th is Digital Scrapbooking Day, National Love Your Red Hair Day, Pumpkin Destruction Day. Hey, I could go for that. I just tore our pumpkin apart. I didn't mean to. I tried to pick it up and it just fell in pieces. Sadie Hawkins Day, Sausage and Kraut Day, and Stout Day. Now, Sunday, November the 6th, Daylight Savings Time ends. Don't forget to change your clocks this weekend, folks. Also, International Day for Preventing the Exploitation of the Environment in War and Armed Conflict.
Okay.
That's a long one. National Nachos Day. I think that's the one I'm going to celebrate. It's also Zero Tasking Day and Saxophone Day. I always thought the saxophone was kind of a cool sounding instrument.
Did you?
If it's
you
played
and Kenny
right.
G.
Yeah, I just think it's kind of cool. I don't know. Saxophone. I don't know how to play it, but it sounds kind of cool. That and nachos, they're kind of delicious. Get out there and celebrate this weekend.
John and Heidi.
Legally, we gotta have insurance. That's why getting the very best rate is paramount. I'm Jared Parsons. I founded the first national and virtual insurance agency. Until now, you were limited to the agents in your area. But what if the rates are better somewhere else? At Parsons, we shop around and we get you the best rate. It's that simple. Go to radioinsuranceguy.com. That's radioinsuranceguy.com.
John and Heidi.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio in Birmingham, Alabama. Jesus Christ was deemed unfit for jury duty. We're talking about a 59-year-old woman who legally changed her name to Jesus Christ. She was formerly Dorothy Lola Killingworth, and she was sent to Judge Clyde Jones' courtroom for a criminal case. However, she was excused because she was reportedly disruptive and kept asking questions instead of answering questions. Court administrator Sandra Turner said people there were shocked when the woman insisted her name was Jesus Christ, and some potential jurors laughed out loud when her name was called. So she had her name legally changed, and then they would ask questions, and then instead of answering it, she would just ask questions back. I wonder if she's a politician by chance. You ever notice how they do that?
Answer a question with another question.
Yeah, let's say, so what is your plan for the environment? And then they'll ask a question about that. You know, what's important to you about the environment? I was asking you about the environment. Can we talk? Okay, then what are you going to do about taxes? What's the thing that bothers you most about taxes? No, just answer. What are you going to do? Anyway, we've got a lot of those kind of questions zinging around right now because we got a big election coming up on Tuesday. I cannot believe it's almost time. But this little court case we're talking about from Birmingham, Alabama, it was Jesus Christ was the lady's name. She had it legally changed. And you know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain. And this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
and this is your brain on drugs. A Queens woman is suing New York City restaurant over a mechanical bull accident. Rachel Love claims that she was a victim of negligent assault and battery because she was allowed to ride the bull at Johnny Utah's in Rockefeller Center.
Okay.
The suit contends employees of the Western-themed restaurant should not have permitted somebody who was as drunk as she was
my.
onto the bull.
Well, there's probably a little bit of truth to that.
Court papers don't detail her injuries, but in September, a man sued the restaurant over another, claiming bull-bucking accident damages. So maybe they might want to just be a little more careful with their bull.
Well,
Sounds like a lot of bull to me.
they probably should,
Yeah.
for insurance purposes, watch the people that are getting on that thing.
There
and make
should be
sure
a
that they're-
sobriety test. Here's the thing. Don't you kind of have to be drunk to get on one of those things?
Well, yeah. If they,
I
I
remember-
suppose if they didn't let the drunk people on it,
We went
nobody
to-
would be riding it at
We
all.
went to Vegas one time, and there was a place that had, it said, on Tuesday nights, ladies ride the bull free.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, darn, we're here on a
Ooh.
Wednesday. Shucks. All right, your moment of duh is on the way.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh. From Arkansas, Stinson Bailey had all the permits and permission to demolish a building, but something went awry. That's usually not a good way to start a sentence when you're talking about knocking
Usually
buildings down.
not.
Now, we've talked about stories where they tore the wrong building down. Remember that?
Yeah.
There was one where they were supposed to detonate a building and make it explode, and they blew up the wrong house.
Yes.
Well, that's not quite what happened here. But, you know, when something went awry, things are not good. They were supposed to knock it down with sledgehammers, but Stinson Bailey decided, I'm going to just burn it down instead.
Ooh.
A local fire chief said that is illegal. The chief was kindly told he was not needed, and you could just come back later. And he did come back later, this time with employees and a fire truck, because it turned into a major blaze. Officers arrested Bailey, who said, I would have been all right if the wind hadn't changed.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, blame it on the wind. I
Yeah.
think you should blame it on the fact that you weren't supposed to do that, and they told you that. Anyway, that's why they call it the moment of duh. Coming up, your scoop of the day, that is on the way.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. In 2003, the State Assembly and the California State House passed a resolution that proclaimed the Yellowstone National Park as one of California's most treasured tourist attractions. So there you go.
Okay.
Yellowstone's not in California, is it? Is that where Yellowstone is?
I've never been to Yellowstone, so I don't know.
I was thinking it was in like Montana.
I
or
probably
something.
should know that as an American. I should probably know
I
where.
should know that too. Apparently,
I don't.
We don't know nothing. Hey, let's pretend like we didn't even talk about that. Hey, the dating website Beautiful People is set to open a club in Los Angeles. They'll be open only for good-looking people.
And who decides that?
I don't know. I would not want that job because can you imagine if you tell somebody you
You're
can't come
too
in? They're
ugly.
like, what are
I
you-
would not want to have to say
are you
that to
trying to tell
somebody.
me?
That's awful.
You can't come in. I'm not good looking. No, you're too good looking. Really, that's the
Yeah,
problem. You're gonna
yeah.
you have to go next door to the more good looking site. That's where you need to go. Hey, in China, a 17-year-old robbed a driver on a remote county road just to prove to his parents that he could do it. We talked about that,
we
didn't we?
did talk about this kid.
He wanted to prove to his parents that he was great at something. I'm not sure that you're great because you did get caught after all. So maybe you should have just stuck to something else. Hey, the average man tells 3 lies a day. That average is about 1,092 lies a year. While more honest, the average woman tells her share of fibs too, about 728 fibs a year, or about twice a day. So man, we lie about 3 times a day. Women lie about twice a day. Do you think that's about the case in our house? you have to lie way more than I do. You're like, no, I still love you. Really do. Hey, a report says climate change may threaten...
I think it's the other way around. Yeah, I worked really hard all day today.
Oh, come on.
I did lots of stuff today.
I did the laundry one day.
I was so busy.
And the dishes and all
I
kinds
wasn't
of
on
stuff.
Facebook at all.
I wasn't. What are you talking about? Hey, moving right along, take a listen to this. A report says climate change may threaten the world's coffee supply. I'm finally interested in climate change. You leave my coffee alone. Hey, a study from the University of Illinois reveals that 9 and 10-year-old children who are aerobically fit tend to have significantly thinner gray matter. What does that mean?
I have no clue what gray matter is.
Thinning of the outermost layer of brain cells in the cerebellum is associated with better math performance. So they're saying if you're more aerobically fit, you'll be better at math?
That's probably true. I was terrible at math, and I was never aerobically fit.
I don't even know what aerobically fit means. So once again, let's just move on. Animal researchers say that elephants may have self-awareness like humans. They discovered
They
an
think they're
elephant.
fat?
No, well, that too. But here's how they discovered this. They discovered this after they proved an elephant would recognize herself utilizing a mirror. That was one big mirror. And the first thing the elephant said is that seriously what my butt looks like? Okay, the elephant didn't say that. They don't say anything. Not only are Americans not using all their vacation time, they're not doing much relaxing during the days that they do take off. According to a survey of 1,000 adults by Princess Cruises, a majority of Americans spend vacation days dealing with various errands. Many of them feel guilty about relaxing, so they tend to do work even when they're taking a vacation. Does that sound familiar to you, Heidi?
Yeah.
Who does that you know?
Well, we both do. Now,
Yeah,
I haven't had a vacation for I don't even know how long.
We'll get a vacation one of these days. We'll take a day off, and everybody's going to notice that we're gone, and then they're going to have somebody else do the John and Heidi show, and the next thing you know, it'll be like the Mike and Lisa show. They won't even miss us. Anyway, we don't get this day off, but maybe another day. Coming up in a bit, we've got a super duper guest. We're going to be talking about the cover story from National Geographic that is on the way on the John and Heidi show.
John and Heidi.
Election day is almost here. No matter which side you're rooting for, you now have a place to get informed and to truly voice your opinion at PoliticalStorm.com. An amazing resource with information from people on both sides of the aisle all in one place. Watch videos, read blogs, listen to podcasts like mine, and read fun editorials. You can also contribute with your own blog for free. Be a part of the community at PoliticalStorm.com. You have a choice, and now you have a voice too at PoliticalStorm.com. That's PoliticalStorm.com. Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi show. For those of you old enough to remember, there was a space race back in the day where, everybody was wanting to get to outer space, and then we wanted to get to the moon. Well, now the next thing is Mars. Yeah, we've got all kinds of cool stuff going on with Mars. And right now we're going to visit with Joel Achenbach. He is the author of the National Geographic magazine cover story, Elon Musk Wants to Go to Mars. And we've got Joel on the line right now. Joel, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Joel, let's talk a little bit about this cover story. Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. How long did it take to put this story together?
I worked on it all year, but in a way I would say it's taken me about 35 years because I've been writing about space since I was a young reporter, and I've been following. I grew up in Florida, was obsessed with all those Apollo missions. I assumed that my future would be in space, that someday I'd live on another planet. And it's been more complicated than that, it turns out. Space is hard. And after Apollo, after 1972, the last Apollo mission, no human has gone beyond low Earth orbit. That's why right now you have NASA and also companies like SpaceX saying it's time to go to Mars.
We live in a fascinating time. We've got this new space race going on. Do you think we're going to actually make it to Mars during our lifetime?
Well, it depends how old you are. I'm 55 years old. I do not think it's likely to happen in my lifetime. I think this is a long-term project. I think it's possible that you could. So what NASA says is they think they can orbit Mars in the 2030s. They would send a mission there. They would go all the way to Mars. It'd be about a two-year mission or so. But they would not land because landing on Mars is really tricky. Meanwhile, you have SpaceX, led by Elon Musk, saying, no, we can go now, basically. We can go in the 2020s. Elon has talked about the first mission launching in 2024 and landing in 2025. I think that's not very plausible, but I respect his desire and the brilliance of those engineers that they know how to do this kind of stuff. It's just there's so many challenges that have to be met. There's so many risk factors. It's not just rocket science. It's also how do you keep people alive? How do you find a crew that can handle the long journey in a confined space? They can't even see the Earth anymore. Psychologically, it's challenging.
It is. Again, our guest today is Joel Achenbach. He's the author of the National Geographic magazine cover story, Elon Musk Wants to Go to Mars. Which issue is that in?
This is in the November issue, which should be on the newsstands right now, and it's tied in with the 6-part National Geographic Channel docudrama about colonizing Mars, which was really a huge production. Is going to get a lot of attention.
And that program will be on the National Geographic Channel on Monday, the 14th of November at 9/8 Central. It's the first of their 6-part series.
That's correct. Yes, it's going to get a lot of attention, and my piece is it's kind of looking at all the different things that have to be done to make this a reality. And I would say that you asked a relevant question: is this really going to happen, and when? I think it's going to be harder than most people realize. But that series does set it. I think it's set in like the 2060s. It's not set in the 2030s or the 2020s.
Nice.
You go far enough into the future, 50 years. We never really know how the future is going to play out. I mean, there could be technological innovations that we don't anticipate, and there could be problems that come up that we don't anticipate. So who knows? But I mean, the vision is there, and Mars is kind of the obvious place to go.
Joel, thank you so much for taking time to visit with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Again, Joel Achenbach right there. He is the author of the National Geographic magazine cover story, Elon Musk Wants to Go to Mars. It's all part of the National Geographic Channel Global Event Series. You can actually watch their 6-part series on the television channel, National Geographic Channel, and it premieres on Monday, November the 14th at 9/8 Central. And again, his article is called Elon Musk Wants to Go to Mars, and that is the November cover story for the National Geographic magazine. Thank you for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Are you ready for Duel? Kyle Dowling on guitar, Brett Gunderson on bass, Sam DeVito on drums, and frontman Duel Shape.
Gotta keep rocking, gotta keep sucking, bringing it down like rain.
Duel's new single just hit iTunes and it's selling fast. Get your copy now.
You're lacking change and you feel no pain. Supernova gonna get you too.
Their first single, Supernova, is available now for less than $1. Learn more and find a direct link to buy Supernova at facebook.com/DuelRocks.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Did you know peanuts are one of the ingredients in dynamite?
No.
Boom, boom. Also, did you know there are 293 ways to make change for $1?
No, I've never thought much about it, I suppose.
4 quarters is one of them. 2 quarters and 5 dimes is another. There's 291 other ways. We won't go through all of them. Hey, the average... Oh, fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The average person's left hand does 56% of the typing. So over half of our typing is with our left hand, and then our right hand only does, would that be 44%? Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
A shark is the only fish that can blink both eyes. So apparently other fish don't blink both eyes. I didn't know that. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
I don't know how you could tell.
I don't know.
They're on either side of their head.
Somebody
you can't see at the same time, so you'd have to look at one side
You watch
and
that
then
one?
flip the fish around
You watch
and see
that
if it's
one?
blinking. There's
I'll
no way
watch
you would know
this
for
one.
sure.
Hey, fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
A woodpecker can peck 20 times a second.
That's one fast pecker.
Oh, Heidi. Thanks for listening. That's a fun fact for you right there on a weekend edition of The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Legally, we gotta have insurance. That's why getting the very best rate is paramount. I'm Jared Parsons. I founded the first national and virtual insurance agency. Until now, you were limited to the agents in your area. But what if the rates are better somewhere else? At Parsons, we shop around and we get you the best rate. It's that simple. Go to radioinsuranceguy.com. That's radioinsuranceguy.com.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show this weekend. I have the top 5 germiest locations in your day. There's an estimated 5 nonillion. That's 5 times 10 to the power of 30. That's a big number. Bacteria.
I didn't even know that was a number. I've never heard that number.
I probably said it wrong anyway. Anyway, that's how many bacteria are alive and thriving on Earth today. The top 5 germiest locations: public magazines. Yeah, if you pick up a magazine that somebody else left laying on a table.
Oh, like
flipping
imagine at a
through
doctor's office, those magazines.
Cold flus, viruses, all that
Yeah.
stuff survives on those surfaces for up to 48 hours. So you're pretty much swimming in somebody else's germs.
I've never thought about that before.
Nor have I, but I can tell you this. Moving forward, I am never going to read a magazine at the dentist's office or the doctor's office or anywhere because they're usually outdated anyway. They got these giant piles of
Imagine how many
magazines.
germs are on those highlights magazines from 1987 that are still sitting there.
Hey, listen to this. President Carter said... What? President Carter? How old is this magazine? Another one is office keyboards. Ah, man. Your office keyboard is disgusting. 33 office keyboards were tested for contamination. They found out all of them had some kind of gunk on it that you don't even want to know about. Next place is the gym. Now, what happens when you get done using a piece of equipment? You're supposed to
wipe it down.
Wipe it down. But even if you wipe it down, there's still a lot of stuff on there. 73% of weightlifting equipment had the cold virus on it. And there was 51% of aerobic equipment had the cold virus on it. Shopping carts. Oh, man. I'm not going to be able to go out in public. A study from...
none of this stuff bothers me at all.
A study from the University of Arizona found 2/3 of shopping cart handles contaminated with bacteria, including E. coli and salmonella, more so than toilet seats. The biggest culprit, diapered infants. Oh.
Yeah, I suppose.
I throw all my stuff in that little place where they put diapered infants.
I know you do. I don't.
Using that anymore.
My purse goes there.
I'm not using that anymore. And the last place, subway poles. So if you're in a place where you ride the subway and stuff, don't touch the pole. I'd rather let them hit the brakes and me tumble the car through the cart all the way to the end than touch that pole from now on. So a lot of yucky stuff that we walk around all the time, and I'll be doing it now at a safe distance. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
If you're a business owner or the person in charge of advertising, I have a special offer just for you. We're doing a jingle special this month. Did you know that when you put words to music, they're 9 times more memorable? How would you like to be the name in your industry and have people singing your song? We've worked with hundreds of small businesses to create their own musical image, and we want to help you too. Reach out right now and we'll give you $500 off. Squeeze it into this year's budget and get results for years to come. Learn more and hear examples at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com.
John and Heidi.
I've never been to Shanghai. Have you been to Shanghai?
I have not.
Well, they're trying to improve their image, and that means no more doing laundry in the streets. Shanghai wants to look spiffy, so they now have made it illegal to do laundry along busy streets. This is nothing more than an eyesore, they say. Shanghai residents are upset because they've already been banned from drying their clothing on several main roads. One 28-year-old resident said, "Of course we have to hang our laundry out in the streets to dry. Where else can we get enough sunlight?" So,
they must not have backyards, huh?
I'm assuming not. So they've been just hanging their laundry out in the street. So there you go.
Interesting.
I've never been to Shanghai, but
I have not. I really can honestly say I have no desire.
Thinking I'm going to Google it just to see what it looks like. It's like, in my world right now, in my mind, it's like a giant, blanket fort from when I was a kid. Maybe not. I don't know. Coming up, we've got a story that's awful and awesome all at the same time. That's coming up.
John and Heidi.
I have an awful, awesome story, Heidi. First, the awful part. This is from Holland. An 18-month-old French Mastiff fell from a balcony.
What's a Mastiff?
It's a dog.
Okay.
And hung himself. He was dangling from a collar and a leash until a neighbor and some bystanders noticed him there. They cut the pooch loose, but he was unconscious.
Oh.
He had stopped breathing. First, they tried to heart massage. That did nothing. And one of the quick-thinking neighbors closed the dog's mouth, held his little snout, and then blew into his nose. The dog, believe it or not, came back.
Wow.
And was taken to an area vet, and he has fully recovered.
That is crazy.
Yeah, he slipped off of, or somehow came off of his
Poor thing.
balcony, and he was... Why would they have him on a balcony and on a leash? I mean, that doesn't... You wouldn't think you'd need that. But anyway, they had him on a balcony and on a leash, and when he fell off, he was hanging there like a noose. And
poor thing.
Had completely gone unconscious, and they gave him CPR, mouth-to-snout resuscitation, and it actually worked for that little Mastiff. Coming up, we're going to talk about how much you would pay for a nap. That's on the way.
John and Heidi.
Election day is almost here. No matter which side you're rooting for, you now have a place to get informed and to truly voice your opinion at PoliticalStorm.com. An amazing resource with information from people on both sides of the aisle, all in one place. Watch videos, read blogs, listen to podcasts like mine, and read fun editorials. You can also contribute with your own blog for free. Be a part of the community at PoliticalStorm.com. You have a choice, and now you have a voice too at PoliticalStorm.com. That's PoliticalStorm.com.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. Every once in a while, it's kind of nice to lay down and take a nap. And, on the weekend, we get this weekend edition going. Maybe people can lay down and take a nap today. We'll maybe sneak in a nap later today. But Nicholas Ronco started a Manhattan business called Yellow, Y-E-L-O. They sell naps. Customers step inside a soundproof yellow cab. It's a cozy cabin engineered for maximum tranquility to sleep. Yellow opened in 2007. Since then, more than 4,000 nappers have stopped in. Clientele ranges from corporate executives to disco nappers who stop by on a Saturday afternoon to rev up before a hard night on the town. A snooze at Yellow costs $15 for 20 minutes. A 40-minute nap will set you back about $28. In the first year, the nap shop booked revenues of $400,000. For the next year, they did about $1.3 million. So apparently there's something to this. I just can't even imagine that. But it's like a tanning bed, I guess. But instead of a tan, you're taking a nap. And a little thing they call a yellow cab. Y-E-L-O-C-A-B.
Yeah, I don't think
yellow
I
cab.
could do that. I don't think I could sleep.
For 20 minutes?
First of all, it would take me about 20 minutes to fall asleep, and then I'm out $15 for nothing.
Just got to sleep. Okay, everybody, get up. Time to go. I'm like,
But what would bother me is knowing that somebody was on the other. I can't sleep when other people are around.
They're not like watching you in the thing. You go into this little pod, I think. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know how it all works.
I don't know.
It's not my
weird.
plan. It's weird. Nicholas Ronco came up with that. This is in Manhattan. I don't think it's a terrible idea. I don't know that I would be, super comfortable doing it either. But for somebody that's tired, that's a good idea. It's a great idea. How much would you pay for a nap? Do you think that's the right price? $20, $28, $15 for 20 minutes, $28 for 40 minutes?
If you're figuring $15 every 20 minutes, you add up those 20 minutes, you could pay for a darn nice apartment, and you can take your own naps at your own place.
I don't think you get the point. Coming up, we've got some good news. That is on the way. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
Always try to wrap things up with some good news. I got a couple quick things here. Happiness and health go hand in hand. And thanks to your marriage, healthy people aren't just the happy ones, they're now the married ones. You thought your significant other was more of a woe than they're worth? Well, you're wrong. Turns out you were painfully mistaken, because a mate won't just keep you happy, they'll help you live longer too, Heidi. You're welcome. A study, a team of researchers from Harvard Radiation Oncology Program found that married cancer patients live longer than single cancer patients with the same disease. Researchers analyzed more than 735,000 patients that received cancer diagnosis in one of the 10 leading cancer killers, colon, breast, pancreatic, and liver, between 2004 and 2008, and the emotional support provided by a spouse proved to be the patient's benefit. They found that men benefited greater than women did. Most unsurprisingly, though, was that the fact that the study and the doctor were able to conclude that being single is a risk cancer patients probably don't want, because it means that you're less likely to attend and keep up with medical treatments and all that stuff. Married couples, they have the support system that a spouse can provide, and it helps keep you alive longer. So that's cool
don't
stuff.
you think, too, that especially a lot of married couples probably have children, so then they have something they're fighting to live for, because they've got children to take care of, and they've got a spouse to care for. And
doesn't mention kids in here. Just talks about how awesome we are as, your partners, your husbands, your wives. I mean, Heidi, you got to be thankful you got me. I'm quite a catch. No, I'm not really. Hey, one other quick thing here, and I got a link to the full story if you want to read all about it, but we haven't talked about this for like 2-3 months now, and I wanted to bring it up. Ark Encounter. Remember we talked about this leading up to when they were going to launch? President Ken Ham of Ark Encounter says the life-size Noah's Ark is on track to reach 1.4 million visitors so far.
Oh, wow.
They launched on July 7th. They've had a ton of people come through. There's a lot of photos. There's a lot of cool stuff, and I've got the entire story. You can check that out at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend.